Okay. Happy Monday. Hope y'all feeling good tonight. It's officially 9:06, and we are about to get this ball rolling. I hope your weekend was good, and I hope your week is off to a great start. Tonight's topic is about transformation. How many people want to experience transformation in their life? Just drop a 777 in the chat, just so I can know that I'm talking to the right people that actually do desire some level of transformation to some capacity in your life, because that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and drop my 777 in the chat as well. Um, because this is for me as well. Anything that I kind of talk about is not just for y'all, it's for me too. So the first thing I want you to put down in your note is that all transformation is the result of awareness. All transformation is the result of awareness. So you can't change your life until you first become aware as to why your life is the way that it currently is. I need my wife to jump in this call and help me with this chat box. But anyway, or the waiting room, I should say. So you can't change your life until you become aware of why it is the way that it is, and also just have this level of awareness about where it is that you want to go. So success in any area of your life, don't matter what it is, whether it's relationships, whether it's finances, whether it's business, doesn't matter. All success in any area, any arena is the results, or it depends on self-awareness. So success in any area depends on self-awareness. Why is awareness so important? Here's why. Because the enemy, he wants you in darkness. He wants you unaware. He wants to keep you ignorant. He wants to keep you in darkness. So darkness essentially means to be ignorant, right? And whatever area that you're ignorant in is an area that you're going to suffer in. Please put it in your notes. Whatever area that you're ignorant in is an area that you're going to suffer in. So if you're ignorant in the area of money, you suffer in the area of money. If you're ignorant in the area of relationships and communication, then you suffer in those areas. So whatever area that you're ignorant in is the area that you're going to suffer in. But here's what I learned: most people, um, they are ignorant because they want to be ignorant. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So if you're ignorant in an area, then the enemy, what happens is he gets an upper hand on you. So you disarm the enemy from using ignorance against you by learning. God says that my people perish because of a lack of knowledge. Because here's the deal: awareness grows through knowledge. So ignorance goes away through knowledge. Ignorance dissipates through you learning. So you disarm the enemy from using ignorance against you by learning, by becoming aware. This is how you increase your awareness. So you can only achieve, pay attention, you can only achieve what your level of awareness will allow you to. So you cannot achieve anything further than your area of awareness. So we grow our awareness through learning, but we also grow our awareness through experience and through associations. So if I want to change my life, if I want to transform my life, then I have to become more self-aware, because success in any area depends on my ability to become more self-aware. If this is making sense so far, just drop a 777 in the chat. So I grow my awareness through learning. I grow my awareness through experience. I grow my awareness through associations. If I want to change my life, it starts with me becoming extremely aware. But what are most people unaware of? What are most people ignorant of? Well, the most important thing I believe that most people are ignorant and unaware of is simply who they are. Who they are. So, um, David, my favorite hero in the Bible. There's some more people in the room. My favorite hero in the Bible. I call them heroes often because if you call them characters, it may make you think that they're not real. What you have to understand about the Bible is that every person in the Bible is a real person. So my favorite hero in the Bible, David in Psalms, he had this question. a question that perplexed him. And the question was, what is man that you're mindful of him? What is man that you're mindful of him? He was very perplexed by this question. What is man? And I want to ask you the question. What is man? What do you think man is? Just drop it in the chat. It sounds very simple, but what is man? What is man, Gio? Why are you sitting here with me?
Man is image of God.
That's a good one. Man is the image of God. What do you think man is? Just drop it in the chat. Somebody give me something. Talk to me. Danny says that's a good one. Yeah. What is man? David was perplexed by this question. What is man that you're mindful of him? So the chat is pretty dry because I guess it's like a interesting question. But let me help you out. I'm gonna tell you. Man is a three-part being who lives in three realms simultaneously with three sets of sensory receptors. So you can sense something in your spirit. You can imagine it in your mind and then manifest it with your hands. So man is a three-part being who lives in three different realms at one time. What realm do man live in? Can you go tell Sydney to join the room so she can help me with this chat box? I'm in the waiting room. Sorry about that. So man is the three-part being who lives in three different realms simultaneously with three different sensory receptors. Man lives in the physical realm. Man lives in the soulish realm, and man also lives in the physical realm or the spiritual realm. I don't know which one I said already. So man is a three-part being who lives in three realms simultaneously with three sets of sensory receptors. And man also has three centers of consciousness. So man has a manual mind, which is known as the conscious mind. We're all aware this is the mind that
Oh my gosh.
oh, I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. So so man is a three-part being who lives in three realms simultaneously with three sensory receptors. You can sense something in your spirit, imagine it in your mind, manifest it in your hands. Man also has three centers of consciousness. Your manual mind. This is your conscious mind, right? This is your thinking mind. Then you have your subconscious mind, which is your automatic mind, which requires no thoughts, right? Okay. Which requires no thoughts. And then you have your super conscious mind, your supernatural mind. This is the mind that Jesus operated with. So man is a three-part being who lives in three realms. This is what man is. All right, let me make wifey the host because I'm going to talk to you. Don't worry. Let me just get some help with this waiting room because it's throwing me off pivot. Boom, there we go. So where was I? So manual mind, subconscious mind, automatic mind. So our subconscious mind, this is where 65% of our automatic behavior, 75% of our behavior comes from. Then our conscious mind, this is where we consciously think about doing something. That's why it's called the manual mind. Subconscious mind, automatic, but the superconscious mind, this is the mind that Jesus operated with. This is the mind that at some point over the course of your life, you should be wanting to tap into this level of super consciousness. This is a whole nother call. We're not going to go too deep into that, but I'm trying to get you to understand what man is and why God is so mindful of man to answer this question that David had. What is man that you're mindful of him? Man is a three-part being who lives in three realms simultaneously with three sensory receptors, three centers of consciousness, right? So here's the deal. Man is a spirit. Man lives in the body and man possesses a soul. Now, let me pause for the cause real quick. If I were to ask you, where was the value of this water bottle? What would you tell me? If you had a jury box, where would the value of the jury box be? Is it the jury box itself, or is it what the jury box contains? If I were to ask you, if you had a room full of sneakers or a closet full of sneakers and you had the boxes, is the value in the boxes or is the value in what's inside of the shoe boxes? It's in the content of the container. So don't Don't let it go over your head already. Don't let it go over your head already. So now where must the value of you lie? Is it in your physical body? Or is it what your physical body contains? Your spirits. See, the spirit version of you is the highest version of you. It's the most real version of you. Don't lose beat of what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about transformation. So the highest version of you, the realest version of you is the version of you that you don't see when you look in the mirror. What you see when you look in the mirror is only the container. The highest version of you, you've never seen it before. Man is a spirit. The spirit of man lives in the body, and you possess a soul. See, in Genesis 1:26, man was created. Let me just give you some Bible real quick. Is that okay? Let's go there, if you don't mind. Saints, go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Because I gotta show you something that's so important and so paramount to your success. Then God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. Let us make human beings in our image to be like us. And then in verse 27, it says, so God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Then verse 28, it says, then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and govern it. Reign over the fish in the sea, birds of the sky, and all the animals that scurry the ground. Then God said, look, I have given you every seed bearing plant, so on and so forth. This happens in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. But then if you peel on over to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, it then says, then the Lord God formed the man. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Genesis 1, it says, let us make man in our image. But in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, it says, then the Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground. He breathed the breath of life into the man's nostrils, and man became a living soul. So your spirit, here's what you got to understand. Before I even go there, let me do this first. One of the first things that God lets us know about creation and formation is that creation happens first and formation then happens second. He created man in spirit, and then he formed man in the physicality. The same thing for your goals, the same thing for everything that you desire. It must first be created spiritually and then is formed physically at a later date. So in Genesis chapter 1, man was created. In Genesis chapter 2, man was formed. But in Genesis chapter 1, when the spirit of man was created, he spoke to the spirit. He gave the man's spirit dominion. Let us make man. Here's what you have to understand. He was not talking about solely Adam and Eve. He was talking about you and I as well. Let us make man in our image. He spoke to the spirits, and then he formed the man from the dust of the ground, breathed life into man's nostril, and then man became a living soul. So the soul was not created until God breathed into the man's nostrils, and then the soul was produced. So your soul is the perfect blend of your spirit and your physical body. That's what your soul is. So man is a spirit, lives in a body, possesses a soul. Why is all of this important? Why am I giving you all this right now? Let me make it make sense for you. Because what man is ultimately a bridge. And you have the capacity to bring about something that is only seen in the spiritual world into the physical world. Man is a portal between heaven and earth. Are you still with me? Man, you think they're with me? Are you with me?
I'm with you. This is deep. This is good.
Man is a portal between heaven and earth. This is why David was so dumbfounded with the question of what is man? What is man that you're so mindful of him? See, when you come to this level of understanding, you recognize or you can now move with a different level of power and a different level of authority because you know that I am a bridge. I have the capacity to bring something from the spiritual world because I am a spiritual being. My nature is spirits. My body that people see is only the container, but who I truly am, the content inside of the water bottle. Just to give you like a clearer picture. So man is a portal between heaven and earth. Man is a bridge that can bring something from the spiritual world into the physical world. Because again, man is a spirit man is a spirit, lives in the body, possesses a soul. Man lives in three different realms at one time simultaneously with three sets of sensory receptors, three senses of consciousness. And your enemy wants you unaware of this information. Because if you're unaware of this information and you're ignorant of this information, then you can't exercise the power that's needed to change and transform your situation. He has the upper hand to keep you stuck, like Chuck in the back of a pickup truck. So when you know who you are and what you hold and what you carry, you move with a different level of power and authority. And when you know this, it does not matter what's in front of you because it's not as big as the power that lies inside of you. Let's take a look at David and Goliath. What would make a 15-year-old kid? Oh, I'm sorry. My wife sent me a message and I thought, okay, I got you, babe. She said, babe, they don't hear you. I thought I was on mute, but she was saying, oh no, they don't hear you. They're not picking up what you're putting down. So let's take a look at David. What would make David believe that he could take down a 9-foot giant? For 40 days, if you read the story of David and Goliath, for 40 days, this giant taunted the Israelites, taunted God's army, saying all these defiling things about God's people. 40 days this went on. And the king of the Israelites never dropped his nutsos, trying to keep it clean, never dropped his nutsos and said, I'm gonna boss up and I'm gonna go slay him. Nobody, all these grown men, nobody ever said, let's just go jump him. Nobody ever said, you know what, let's just go back there and let's just shoot some arrows at him. Like nobody did nothing. Nathaniel, it was a 15-year-old kid who showed up to the scene with an awareness of the power that was inside of him that made him say that you that defy the armies of the living God, God is going to slay you and I'm going to cut off your head. He's 15 years old. See, what will make somebody do that is a level of awareness about who they are. Because when you know what's inside of you, it does not matter what's in front of you. Is this making sense? When you have this awareness about who you are and what you carry, what's in front of you does not matter. But here's the piece I need you to get. Let me take a deep breath before I say it. Awareness without action creates nothing. Awareness without action creates nothing. So you can sit here and listen to me say something along the lines of that man is a three-part being, lives in three realms simultaneously, three sensory receptors, three senses of consciousness. Man is a spirit, lives in a body, possesses a soul, created in the image of God, in the likeness of God. You can hear me say that and your level of awareness raises about that. But if you don't start acting in alignment with that, then no transformation happens in your life because awareness without action creates nothing. So there still has to be a level of action that's in alignment with what you're aware of. So David, the greatest hero in the Bible, had a level of awareness about who he was and looked at all these grown men, looked at the king himself, and said, man, y'all boys ain't talking about nothing. Y'all boys ain't talking about nothing. Y'all don't know who y'all are. You the king and you don't even know who you are. So because I know who I am, let me go act in that alignment with that awareness of who I am. And watch this. What we all know David for is what he did as a servant, more than what we know him for what he did as a king. We know David more for what he did as a servant, more than what he did as a king. See, you can be a heathen, don't know nothing about the Bible, but you know about the story of David and Goliath. You know more about David and Goliath than you do about David and Bathsheba. You know more about David and Goliath than you know about how David's own son turned on him, had sex with his concubines, and tried to kill him. You know more about David and Goliath than you do about his own son having sex with his daughter, raping his daughter. You know more about David and Goliath than you do about David hiding in the wilderness from the king while he's anointed to be king. You know more about David and Goliath than you do anything else about David's story. But you know that about David because David had a level of awareness about who he was and he took action on that because awareness without action creates nothing. And so when you become aware of this knowledge, when you become more aware about who you are, you can confidently use your mind and your mouth to change your situation. So David was a shepherd boy who was anointed to be king. And it wasn't until an opportunity or an obstacle showed up where he could use his mind and his mouth to change his situation and take him from just being a servant boy to now being the one that young ladies wrote songs about. Saul slayed thousands, but David slays tens of thousands. Yeah. So become more aware about who you are. Like, become one with this knowledge that I'm a spirit. I only live in this body. And it's my spirit that has a level of dominion. It's my spirit that God gave authority to. See, authority and dominion was not given to your physical body, it was given to your spirit. And when you speak and act and do things from your spirit, that is when giants fall. That is when situations change because you're speaking from the version of you that has authority. It's a different feeling when you speak from your spirit than you do from your flesh. Is this making sense? Drop a 777 in the chat. The chat's a little bit dry. Let me know y'all still with me. Give me a little back pop right quick. So the enemy wants to keep you ignorant of this because if he can keep you ignorant of this, you can't move and groove and act how you need to change and transform everything about your life. But even if you do become more aware, he still wants to keep you stuck. He still wants to keep you in a place of inaction because awareness without action creates nothing. And this is why you need the second component of transformation. So the first component of transformation is awareness. The second component of transformation is intention. We've spoken about this on a few calls already, but intention. What does it mean? A thing intended, an aim or plan. Intention is the foundational principle of productivity. Intention is the foundational principle of productivity. The highlight of my life right now, if you follow me on social media, you probably know what the highlight of my life is right now. The highlight of my life is training my children to be athletes. Oh, man, listen, I am the proudest dad in the world. To be a former athlete and to now be training, see, 2K, she knows. So to be a former athlete and to now be training my children, predominantly my oldest or my middle child, Keegan, and Kobe just taking his baby steps right now, but training them to now be athletes, oh, it's the highlight of my life right now. And when I tell you that what we're doing in terms of training them, my wife and I, everything that we're doing is very, very intentional because I don't want nothing to be an accident. I don't want nothing, I don't want any success in life in any regard to ever be an accident. Because if it's an accident, then you don't know how you did it. So with my first child, I'm taking through this process. There's a level of intention that I'm going through it with, going through it with. So now when I double back to baby Kobe, I know exactly how my son became great. So there's this story, and this story actually is something also that motivates me. There's a story of this guy. His name is Laszlo Polgar. Laszlo Polgar believed that any person can become a genius at anything as long as education in that thing started at a very young age. Anybody could become a genius. He believed that greatness was not something that you were born with, but it's something that you were trained for. And so he set out on a goal. His goal was he was going to have some children and he was going to teach his children to become chess prodigies. And every day from the time they turned 2 years old, he was very intentional about how he trained them to be chess prodigies. And so he went so far as they didn't go to public schools. He homeschooled them, and a primary the outside of their traditional school stuff they needed to like pass on and move to the next grade. The primary education form of education was chess. Like he taught them everything about chess. When they went into the bathroom, it was chess magazines. At night, they would watch chess tournaments. He would have them playing chess. So his firstborn child, I think her name was Susan. He had three girls. His firstborn, though, by 4 years old, she was beating adults, grown men, in chess. By 15, she became a grand chess master. And then he said, you know what? I know how this thing works. So when his second one was born, he followed the same exact process very intentionally. Nothing was an accident. Everything that he did it with intention because intention is the foundational principle of all productivity. So he was intentional in how he trained, developed, and taught his children to become chess prodigies. Their life revolved around chess from the time they turned 2 years old. So the second child, the middle child, became extremely great at chess. They say that she's one of the top 20 women chess players in history, but she's the third best of the sisters because the youngest, I think her name was Judith, the youngest daughter, after the father had realized through trial and error which methods were the best, blase, he was so intentional with the third child, the youngest daughter. The youngest daughter became the youngest grand chess master in history. I think the record's been broken now, but she became a grand chess master. Let me give you context of what grand chess master is. You're the best chess player in the entire world. She accomplished this at, I believe, 13 years and 6 months old. She was beating grown men who had been playing chess for 40 years. She beat him at 13, became a grand chess master and arguably top 5 chess players to ever play the game of chess. But how did this happen? Because the father, Laszlo Polgar, was so intentional in his pursuit. He had an aim and a plan, and he followed that. He followed that. Nothing was an accident. Everything was very intentional. So when you're talking about changing your life and transforming your life and going from where you are to where you want to be, from A to P, it is a level of intentionality that's needed. Because again, intentionality is what changes your reality. So, but to be intentional, that leads me to my third component of transformation, which is a decision. You have to make a decision. You have to decide that this is what you want. Transformation is what you want. Change is what you want. A new life is what you want. Whatever that thing is, there has to be a decision that's made. And decision means to cut out any other option, cut off any other option. I'm not gonna make a choice, because to make a choice, that means you choosing between this and that. Choice means pick one. Decide means to cut off every other thing. And life moves at the speed of your decisions. Life moves at the speed of your decisions. So before I move on, let's backtrack. We're talking about transformation tonight. If I want to change my life and transform my life, what is the first thing that I need? I need awareness. I need a level of awareness, because all transformation is the result of awareness. And the enemy wants to keep me unaware. He wants to keep me ignorant and in darkness. And the biggest thing he wants to keep me unaware of is who I am, like who I really am. He wants me to be unaware or to not have this level of understanding that I'm a three-part being. I live in 3 different realms simultaneously at one time. So my spirit is living in one realm, my soul is living in another realm, and my physical body is here. This is the one that we're most aware of. But when you become aware that it's 2 versions of you living in 2 other realms, you move a little bit different. You move a little bit different because you recognize that the highest version of you lives in a realm that does not know time. And so when I come into an alignment with the highest version of me, the spirit version, and I create goals and I have objectives and missions that I want to accomplish, my spirit has already saw the end from the beginning. Wait a minute. Alpha and Omega, but see what I'm looking for. Omnipresent. See, your spirit is omnipresent too. Your spirit is omniscient too. You're made in the image and likeness of God. So just how God knows all, sees all, and is in all, your spirit knows all, sees all, and is in all about everything concerning your life. The enemy wants you unaware of that. He wants you dumb and incompetent of that. Because when you know that, you move different. So awareness about who I am, and awareness without action creates nothing. So I can't just be aware of that. I have to start acting in alignment with that and start using my mind and my mouth to change my situation. And then I have to be intentional moving in that, because intention is the foundational principle of productivity. Where attention goes, intention follows. See, Laszlo Polgar, the father of the 3 chess prodigies, his attention was on this. So his intention followed that. And the same thing happened with his children. But it started with him first making a decision, because life moves at the speed of your decisions, and decisions become easier when you get clear about your future. Decisions become easier when you get clearer about your future. See, when you know where you're going, you know what roads won't take you there. So it's not hard to make decisions when I know where I'm going, because I know what roads won't get me there. Is this making sense? So for me to change my life, for me to transform my life and go from where I am to where I want to be, it starts with me making the decision. And how fast I make the decision is going to be based, or how fast I make the decision is going to determine how fast my life moves. How fast I make the decision determines how fast my life moves. Here's what I also want you to understand. Your physical body, what you see when you look in the mirror, is always playing catch up to your spirit. You're forever playing catch up to your spirit. Because remember, your spirit knows all and has seen all. Your spirit does not know time. Your spirit lives in eternity. When you were born, God sent you into time, but you've always existed. You've always been here. This is what I mean when I say your spirit knows all. Like your spirit has always been here. It's never not been here. When your parents met and they did the 1-2, God said, all right, Danny, bam, and sent you into time. And your soul was produced. See, when the egg met the sperm, your soul was produced. But your spirit, who you truly are, has always been here. Always been here. So life moves at the speed of your decisions. When I make a decision physically, my spirit has already made this decision, and I'm playing catch up to what my spirit already knows, to what God's already shown my spirit. Remember, man can sense something in his spirit, imagine it with his mind. So let me give you a picture. God gives your spirit something. Your spirit senses it. Your spirit sends it to your mind. Your mind starts to think about it. Your hands start to work it. So man lives in 3 different realms, 3 different centers of conscious, 3 sensory receptors, and man creates 3 different times. It's created in spirit first when God sends it, and your spirit picks it up. The only reason why you can think about something continuously and get a feeling associated with it is because your spirit has already felt it. Your spirit has already got it. Your mind is now starting to process what your spirit has already received. And then your hands start to go to work. And over time, what your spirit already knows, what your spirit has already created, over time, your physical body, your container, brings it about. So when you get super clear about your decisions or about your future, the decisions that you make become easier. But what else do I need? That can't be the only stuff that I need for transformation, even though all of that sounds like I don't need nothing else. It's also one more. There could be more, but for the sake of this conversation, I just want to give you one more. And it's discipline. It's discipline. Discipline, telling yourself that you're going to do something, and that's what you do. Simple. I'm telling myself that I'm going to do something, and that is what I'm going to do. Now, watch this. A refusal to be disciplined is a decision to settle. A refusal to be disciplined in all areas of your life is a decision to settle. So you not being disciplined is you making a decision to settle. And when you make the decision to settle, guess what you can't do? You can't be intentional. And intention is the foundational principle of productivity. So if I don't come to one and say, man, I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to give myself a command and stick to that. If I don't do that, then what I'm saying to myself is I'm making a decision to settle. And now watch this. God will let you live on whatever level you settle for. God will let you live on whatever level you settle for. Shout out to my pastor for that bar. I can't take the credit for that one. Shout out to PD. So God will let you live on whatever level you settle for. So if you settle for this level that you're currently on today, he will let you stay there. He's gonna let you stay. He's not just gonna like just pull you. He's going to let you stay there because one of the greatest gifts that he gave us is the ability to make choices and decide. So if you choose to settle there, he's gonna let you settle. He's gonna let you stay there. And he's gonna love you there. He's still gonna give you favor there. He's still gonna protect you there. But you're gonna feel very unfulfilled there because your spirit knows there's more for you. Your spirit knows that there's more for you. So when it comes to being disciplined, I mean, I don't have to beat you over the head with points and gems about being disciplined. You already know what that means. It's you giving yourself a command and sticking to it. If it's, I'm going to work out, then you're going to work out. If it's, you're going to be more disciplined when it comes to trading or whatever you do, then you're going to do that. If it's, man, after I do this, I'm not doing that. After I place this trade, I'm not getting back in the markets. After I, eat my breakfast up for the morning, I'm not going to eat again until the time that I say I'm going to eat again because I'm trying to lose weight. Discipline. That's all it is. And you refusing to be disciplined is you making a decision passively to settle where you are now. So when we're talking about transformation and changing our life, that's all we need. That's all we need. It's a level of awareness that's needed. Because success in any area depends on a level of self-awareness. And the most important thing that you have to be aware of is that I'm a portal between heaven and earth. I don't need that to go over your head, gang. Listen to what I'm telling you. David said, "What is man that you're mindful of me?" Why are you so mindful? You created angels, but why are you so mindful of man if you have angels? Because angels are not created in the image and likeness of God. As great as they are, angels have no real relationship with the Father as we can. They're not created in his likeness. So they can't create and do what we can do. Angels are meant to serve us. But David is so perplexed by this. Man is a portal between heaven and earth, and we can bring something spiritually into a physical world because we're God's like on earth. So the enemy wants to keep you unaware of that. Because if you're not aware of that, then you can't move in that with the level of intention. You can't do anything how you need to do with the level of intention. Making a decision and being disciplined. And anytime you refuse to be disciplined, you're making a decision to settle. Hey man, listen, I don't got nothing else for you. That's all I got. And I hope that's enough. That's all I got. And I pray that that was enough. Because I legit don't have nothing else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up real quick as we do each and every single Monday. And I would just love to hear a little bit of feedback from you guys. And just kind of let me know what stood out to you tonight. And or if you have anything that you just want to share, the line, you should be able to unmute yourself. Give me something real quick. And I just hear from a couple people, and then we're going to get ready to wrap it up.